there are many, let's face it, who will have that common gripe that faith, religion, the Bible, Christianity have nothing to inform the scientific worldview. And that's really frustrating, because you only have to have a cursory view of history to see that many of the great men and women of science have come with a solid faith background, and some even clergy. I think the character for me who really sort of bats that one, that hardball, is Georges Lemaitre, the Belgian Catholic priest and astrophysicist, a contemporary of Albert Einstein. He gives us probably the biggest idea of the second millennium, and it itself is based on a Christian idea of time. Like Einstein, I suspect he must have been the sort of person who would sit and look at a blank piece of paper and have these sort of thought experiments, these kind of almost mystical daydreams, where an idea, a playful idea would come out of his head. And he takes his ideas from things like Augustine's sense that there was a time when there was no time. That time itself is a creation. And you see that developed in St. Anselm, in Thomas Aquinas, in some of the great minds of the Christian philosophical tradition. That time itself is a creation. And it's just that for us, travelling through time, it appears as ethereal as the air. And from his mathematical observations, he puts forward the idea that if you replayed time, if you could go back to the woods, you would come to a point where everything, all matter, would be condensed. You and me, all the stuff that makes us, the zillions of galaxies could be condensed down to a single point. And that before that there was nothing, and after that everything. And that comes, that whole idea comes out of a Christian idea of time and space, of creation and of progress. And without those sort of foundations, he couldn't have come to that conclusion. So Georges Lemaitre is 124 last week, and he's slowly coming out the woodwork as a figure that we're beginning to recognise as someone that was shunned for his idea. Google celebrated him on their search page last week, which for me was fantastic. I think Georges Lemaitre is an amazing character, someone who paid the price, because many in the scientific community thought his idea on the Big Bang was far too religious, and I think actually secretly, I think many still do actually think that it's just a bit too quasi-religious. But there you go. We just have to kind of watch folks trying to kind of wheedle out of that, because at the time the main idea was that the universe had always been the same, that stars came and went, but everything kind of hung in a sort of stale suspension. It was some years after that the astronomer Fred Hoyle noticed that galaxies are spinning away, and this confirmed Lemaitre. But in many ways it was too late, because Einstein and others got all the glory, and Lemaitre has been largely forgotten until Deo Grazie, until recently. He has been to come forward as one of the heroes of science and also of faith. You know, these two insights of our world, I think, have a lot to offer when they work together. And in this instance particularly, the biggest idea comes out of this.